Somebody
That's
has
a
a
nice
smaller
one.
head than I do. Smaller mouth. That's so funny. Okay.
I'm always afraid to test it. Okay. This is why I break. Okay. So what do we do first?
Relax.
Relax.
Meditate.
Okay, so first we relax. How do we do that? This is a quiz. We what?
Breathe.
We breathe. We bring our attention to our body sitting here, and then check in with our bodies. I mean, mostly that's an exercise of making sure your attention is here, not still out there getting here or over there planning to whatever you're going to do next. So it's by using just your physical presence here and bringing your mind's attention to that can help you let go of all the busyness getting here. So that's correct. So you scan your body first, then you maybe take a few deep belly breaths. You're finding yourself kind of tense. And it can be helpful to really allow your rib cage to expand, uplift your chest, because it can, I don't know, because I'm sure physically it's not true, but it's like your breath can go further and ease these spots of tension. And I think just sometimes just acknowledging your body and giving it a little bit of attention that's not extreme, like going to the gym or something, but just kind of checking in with it. The body just naturally kind of settles. And then you breathe. So then you bring your attention to the sensation of the breath, either at your belly where it's going in and out, or at the tip of your nose. And then what do you do after you've done that? What is the purpose of that, following your breath?
Quiet the mind.
To quiet the mind. Considered the best technique for slowing down a distracted, scattered mind, to bring it more stillness. And then what do you do? Oh, you got into a sticking point.
Setting your intention.
Bingo, star. We need to give out gold stars. So that's right. We've been giving out, 4 so far. So you set an intention. So you try to generate a positive state of mind, and you set the intention. So with meditation, you're setting this intention to stay there. That you're going to do this, and it's good to have a kind of a structure to it, that you're going to say you're just going to try to cultivate some concentration. So you're going to follow your breath for 5 minutes, and you set that intention to do that. And it's good to always put a reason with it. So you might say, okay, I'm doing this because I want to find out if cultivating first of all, if watching my breath helps me cultivate my concentration, and also to see if it does in fact benefit my mind. All the teachings say so, all the, yoga studios say so, I need to try it out. I'm doing it to benefit my own mind with the hope that it'll help me be more calm and peaceful, with the hope that it ripples out to benefit others. Because the more peaceful and calm we are, then, that ripples out to benefit the people around us, as opposed to, angry and impatient. So, okay, so we've said what? You can have relax your body by bringing your attention here. So really the first step is really about finding a way to bring your attention to the present moment and looking for any spots of tension, trying to get yourself to relax, not sleepy. You know, you want to maintain an upright posture so that helps you stay awake, because that's the purpose of meditation, is to become awake, more aware, more self-aware. So you're paying attention to your mind. So from that, then you just settle your mind a little bit by following the breath. That just naturally will help slow down all the distractions. And what is the thing you have to remind yourself to do when you're following your breath?
Come back to it.
Right. You need to remember to follow your breath. So every time you realize, oh, I'm not following my breath, you just, bring it back to the breath. No big drama. You just bring it back. So, and usually it's just that, oh, and you're back. And you do that as many times as you need to. So that may be all you do, and that's okay. Okay. And then you set a motivation. It's good to have a structure, like I said, so that you could say, I'm going to do this for this long. And then what do? So you do that. I'm going to meditate on a precious human rebirth, for the next 20 minutes. And you do that. Then what do?
Rejoice.
You rejoice. Yay, more gold stars. So I have an Excel spreadsheet that I give myself all flowers. Yay! So, why not? Life's short. So, you want to feel good about your efforts, and so you just, oh yes, I'm glad I did this. And I'm glad there are other people in the world doing this, and I'm glad there are all sorts of people doing all kinds of wonderful, kind things, blah, 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 taking care of their minds, taking care of others. And then what do? Dedication. And what are you dedicating? It's harder.
The good thing you generated.
The good that you've generated. So according to the teachings, all of our positive and all of our negative actions have results. They are causes for future results. So when we do positive action, we're accumulating what they call merit. Which just means we're actually placing the seeds on our mental continuum that will ripen as pleasant experiences in the future, or resources in the future, like generosity brings resources. Ethics brings a good human rebirth, or a human rebirth. Generosity and ethics brings a precious human rebirth. So, so you're dedicating these positive results in the future to benefit others. So you're practicing generosity. You're making the wish that it doesn't exhaust until there are no suffering sentient beings at all. So what's called the Great Enlightenment. And that means it'll last until the Great Enlightenment. So this is why we don't do a meditation to begin. Because we have neighbors. So we're getting set up. Okay, well done. So now we'll at least start with that first part of just bringing our minds here. And we'll do a little short meditation, an analytical meditation, because that doesn't really require silence, because I'm going to be running my mouth. So, it's kind of okay if there's noise going on around us, or sounds, I should say. Noise is not a good word when you're referring to people. Okay. So find your comfy spot, sitting in the chair, your back straight. And scan your body. Like your mind is looking, checking in with it. And if you find that your body's not very relaxed, then take a few belly breaths. And when you're ready, just find the sensation of the breath going in and out, either the tip of your nose or your belly, and anchor your attention on the breath, letting any kind of thoughts, images, sensations just fall to the background, pass through the sky of the mind. If you find your mind very scattered, you can practice 9-round breathing. Or you breathe in through the left, you breathe in through the right nostril first, exhale through the left for 3 breaths. Then you breathe in through the left nostril and breathe out through the right for 3 breaths. And then breathe evenly for 3 breaths. So your only job right now is to follow the breath. In and out. And generate a positive motivation, a positive intention for this meditation. Thinking of the reasons you came to this class, the reason why you think it might be beneficial to cultivate the habit of meditation. include the wish that it benefit not just your own mind, but that it ripples out to benefit those around you. So now we're going to reflect on our fortunate human life. I want you to try to reflect on your Buddha nature, which is simply the potential of your mind to become free of all negative states of mind, like anger, incorrect states of mind arising from ignorance, like greed or attachment, jealousy. And that our mind has the potential to fully develop all of our positive qualities, our compassion, our loving kindness, our generosity, our patience, our wisdom. It's possible for your mind, this very mind that is sitting here now meditating, to become completely clear and pure and very powerful and beneficial for others, able to do so much good for others. The human mind has incredible potential because it has such a superb physical support for the mind. So if this idea brings some resistance or doubts, because you can see a lot of faults in yourself, or you remember a lot of mistakes you've made, so you might feel, oh, I have so many bad qualities, there's no chance. See if you can recognize that the faults, mistakes, and bad habits are not permanent. They are not things that are happening every moment of your life. Everyone makes mistakes. There are also many examples of your positive habits, your successes, just like everybody else. We can recognize our unskillful habits and learn to reduce them gradually and eventually clear it away completely. Our minds are changeable, not permanent, not concrete, not fixed. It's possible to work on your mind and direct your mind away from negative states. this potential to transform the mind exists in everyone's mind. But not everyone is in the most ideal situation to be able to do this kind of work on their mind. We know that insects don't have good physical supports for their mind. Even our pets don't have the best physical supports for their mind. But many human beings are in conditions that make it difficult to recognize this potential. Those who experience physical or mental illness may not be able to work on their minds. Those who are very poor, who live in extremely hard conditions, they're just struggling to stay alive. So even though their minds have this potential, their present situation is not one in which they are able to develop it. Just think about the lives many people have, the difficulties that they have, making it almost impossible for them to understand the potential that lies within their own minds. Then there are others like us who are not experiencing those kinds of problems, but they don't have access to spiritual teachers, spiritual teachings that will enable them to become aware of the potential that they have, the possibilities that they have for transforming their mind. They may spend their whole lives completely unaware of this potential and how to develop it. Think of all the people living in remote areas or just rural areas where they don't have any access to these kinds of teachings and teachers. Then there are probably people that you know, family members, friends, people you work with, who are totally uninterested in anything spiritual. They're not suffering physically or mentally, but living comfortable lives, and they have the opportunity to learn teachings. But from their side, they don't have any interest. Their interests lie elsewhere. Their careers, or accumulating money, their possessions, or worldly kinds of knowledge and skills. They have no idea that their negative actions, body, speech, and mind, will bring them suffering in the future. And then there are other people who have an interest, who really want to practice, but don't have the freedom to do so. Some countries it's against the law. Teachers may not be allowed to teach. Spiritual groups may not be allowed to gather. Others face objections from family members. They have parents or partners or even children who are opposed to their interests and don't really allow them the freedom to study and practice as they wish. So just reflect on all these conditions that many people find themselves in, conditions which are obstacles to recognizing and developing the potential of their mind. Now think about your conditions. We have very good conditions. We have time to come to classes like this. We have access to YouTube, all the teachings that are available on the internet, all the books that are available. So really try to generate a mind that is aware of this good fortune and how it's actually quite rare. Trying to generate the thought that wants to use this good fortune while you have it, to use it in a wise and beneficial way. And you can rejoice having created the cause to have these conditions. And that at this moment, you're using these conditions in a wise way. Now take a moment to rejoice and taking the time to reflect on your good fortune and how rare it is. And dedicate any positive energy created by reflecting on these things to be beneficial, to bring more happiness and peace. To ripple out positive energy, to ripple out to help as many beings as possible. And not to exhaust until the great enlightenment. So take a moment to set an intention for the rest of the class. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. One thing that can be helpful when you're sitting at home is at the end to exit meditation slowly rather than abruptly. Just gently re-enter the next moment. So what is the purpose of doing meditations like this? This is sort of a review meditation and sort of an analytical meditation. When you do this yourself and you go at your own pace and you kind of look at the different things and you're able to kind of go, is that true? No, not true. Or really have moments where you kind of go, oh man, I'm really lucky. And just, rest there in that understanding. I think there was a question in there. Maybe not.
Increase awareness.
To increase awareness. Yes.
Give you some little sense of urgency.
Yeah, this particular meditation certainly is about, okay, these conditions aren't always going to be here, so use them as you can. Um, it's also about developing the faith of conviction. You know, this is the process through which we can become convinced of whether or not the teachings have any validity to them. You know, you read about it, you really look at it, and you think about the reasons. Is it true? Because we need to really understand, like if you want a meditation about um, our good fortune, our good conditions to motivate you, you really have to feel that. You have to let that, let yourself perhaps feel a little of the pain of others who don't have these conditions at all, so that you can appreciate, that, wow, I do. Not this kind of feeling like you should feel bad that you have these good conditions and they don't. It's not about that. It's just about recognizing that these conditions come and go. Any of us could get in a car wreck on the way home tonight and then not be able to study for quite some time. I remember I had a friend decades ago, decades and decades ago now, and her car ended up in a ditch, and she had brain damage, and she just never was able, she just never returned to the functioning of her, brain as it was before. Finished, probably at the ripe old age of 30. So it's just, we can't count on having good conditions other than this moment, So it's so wonderful to recognize that and use it. I don't know if you've ever been like just sitting around your house and maybe you're listening to some nice music or you're watching some show you like on television, and there's a part of you that's going, really, is this what I want to do with my life? It's like, I really cannot imagine that when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to go, I'm just so glad I got a chance to finish all those murder mysteries. I just don't think I'm going to think that at all. I'm probably going to think, boy, I wish I hadn't read so many murder mysteries, So we need to not wait till then. So, because we'll regret it. And that's not a good state of mind to experience. So this kind of, slow-paced kind of looking at a topic, the teachings, and try, and going through it using your own words, your own experiences of different kinds of conditions, like in this case, so that it really has some truth to you, so it can resonate with you, so. And sometimes the subjects won't be so easy. They won't be something like, oh yeah, that's true. I do have pretty good conditions. They'll be like, past and future lives. Going, yeah, okay, good luck with that. So, it's, or the mind of anger, that it's something that's possible to actually not have arise, really? Or how we exist. So these are things, you have to really sit with. So you can develop this conviction, and then you try out the teachings. So then you can go, yeah, well, I gave that a try. Let's see how that went for me. But you really want to look closely and fairly. You don't want to look with your preconceived ideas. So trying to keep your mind open to really make sure you're understanding the teachings. Am I really understanding the meaning here? And really keep investing. Have I given it a fair shot? That kind of stuff. Why is that an expression? Yeah. So Geshe Tech Talk was taught at Institute Amazon Kappa for a long time. A lot of our most senior students, like Venerable Steve and those guys, studied with him. Venerable got so Venerable Sarah, all those guys. So anyway, so one of the things that can happen when you have these thoughts about like a good condition, good human rebirth and stuff, and you think, yeah, this life, chasing after material goods, chasing after this or that, not worth it. So I'm just going to, go live in the cave. I'll go spend 12 years in a cave. Okay. Or we have one of those moments where we feel at one with everyone. And then it disappears. Like usually, within the hour. So, well, we need to understand that having those moments is not some profound realization from our meditation. We don't want to mistake them. So we don't have to worry when they pass. That's one thing. They're impermanent. Things like renunciation, which is the wish to become enlightened, or the wish to become, renunciation specifically is the wish to be liberated from cyclic existence. So the renunciation has nothing to do with me. I just keep hoping it has something to do with me so I can fix it. I want the power. Okay. So renunciation is this, like, okay, I've had it with, all this, none of my friends get it, my in place of employment doesn't get it, blah, 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 so I'm, and it's clear that, life is just suffering and I'm just gonna, I need to become liberated, so I'm gonna go meditate for the rest of my life, all this kind of stuff. And then, you smell cinnamon toast in the oven or something, someone's making you breakfast and you go, that's nice. So we just have to understand that, the kind of renunciation that they talk about, needing to, hopefully our practice someday will make us really want to let go of all the conditions that cause negative states of mind to arise, which is mainly ignorance. It is a 24/7 mind. You don't think about it anymore. It's just naturally arises. There is literally nothing in cyclic existence for you anymore. You're not fooled by any of it. The smell of cinnamon toast isn't going to distract you. Sex isn't going to distract you. Fast cars aren't bringing your ideas here. Even your children or grandchildren. It's not that you don't, that you stop loving them or whatever, but you see that they are just in this stage of cyclic existence, and you're going to wish them to be free of it too. So we don't want to mistake our moments of understanding for something more profound than that. Mainly because when it goes away, we may start thinking our effort is faulty. But it's just these kinds of things take a lot of time to generate. I mean, like lifetimes. So it's not, it's really, I think a lot of people have expectations of things like meditation, like it will change my life. If I can just make this a habit, it will change my life in 6 months. Now, I do think it changes your life. You know, if you do it every day, there'll be an aspect of your life that will be different, but it's not bells and whistles different. You know, it's more subtle than that. As you develop an ability to redirect your mind away from negative habits towards more positive habits, you can do that. You know, and it's not like you have to wait years for those kinds of results. It's just that the way it changes things is subtle. It may even take you a while, if you're not very good at rejoicing over your efforts, to even recognize that anything has shifted at all. So it's necessary to give things like meditation a really long time. You know, not in terms, 5 minutes a day, every day is enough to make some of these shifts. So it's not like, you have to devote your whole day to it. The longer you can devote to it, the more change can happen, or not, depending on how well you're using the device. You can just kind of like sitting there. Yeah.
So I want to change. So I want to try and meditate, or increase my success, so to speak, at meditation, or at the teachings, or any number of things that are related to the practice. But I see a problem there in that I'm still grasping.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting to, attain something, and that just leads right back into the whole business of cyclic existence.
Yeah.
So
that's where you start.
Yeah.
First, you want, you're grasping sort of at the changes, but that's where we start. Not doing it won't help you quit grasping. Doing it might. Because the more we really reflect on these habits of grasping, you can laugh at yourself. I mean, you can finally develop, there I go again. Trying to achieve some state of absorption. It's just that.
And that never changes, really, because we're always seeking to attain something more. So I get to, to one level, and then I want to get to the next level. I want to be, a meditation master.
Yeah.
I want to be a guru. I want to be, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, these things take a long time to change. What is behind that incremental more? I want this thing. Now I want this.
It's delusion.
I know, but what is the delusion?
Delusion is that you think that you can attain.
Why? Why would you want to?
Well, that's just it. I mean, it is a delusion.
I know it's a delusion, but what is underneath? What is the delusion? What is it that we believe we're going to get with each of those things? That's what you want to explore, because that's where you need to work. It's sort of like, okay, I keep holding on to this idea that attaining something is a way to happiness or peace, or whatever it is, enlightenment, glory, whatever is your thing, and we have to keep working on the fact that that's not true. And it's hard, and it's not something that happens quickly, and it's not something that, even if you've been doing this rather effectively for a long time, it takes quite a long time to remove that ignorance. But we can keep, thinking about where our illogic is. So, okay, I want to be able to sit, and be able to hold my attention on my object for 20 minutes. Well, now I want to do it for 45 minutes. We need to explore, why do I think 45 minutes is better? And then see if you have some good reasons. If you don't have any good reasons, you go, okay, why does my ego like 5 minutes? You want to really keep looking at what's driving the grasping. And it's usually, that you think that somehow this is going to find you peace or success. And so we just have to, this is our obstacle. And then we have to keep working on our mistaken view of how things exist, which really isn't the topic of this class. But, it's so we have to keep recognizing that we're still being tripped up by our delusions. But just wishing our delusions away won't make them go away. We really have to see the faulty logic that we're using. And we have to see it not see it, we have to have a realization at a very profound level so that we no longer want to grasp. And then we keep working towards not grasping. And then, because these, we may think that we're not making any progress at all, except the sheer recognition of it is quite a bit of progress. Because we live completely in a society that saturates us with the idea that we can find everything we want at the end of a credit card. And we have commercials like that. Don't suffer, spend money. Remember those old Visa cards or MasterCard cards? It's like, So we have to recognize that those kinds of commercials are born out of our insanity. These are our delusions. We can pretend that it's the advertiser's delusions, but no, the advertiser's just finding what works, which is our minds. So, we have to understand that it's like I've said, we have these habits and we go, oh no, they're not skillful there and they're incorrect, blah, blah, blah. But they're really strong because we've been practicing from since beginningless time. That's a long, long, long time. So we're trying to overcome them. So that means we have to meet it and overcome it. That's a lot of effort. It's not easy. And when we keep going, when we have that sort of what they call the laziness, what the teachings call the laziness of discouragement, where we feel like I just can't do it. I don't get anywhere. We have to understand that we are getting in our own way. That it's not, if we agree with the teachings, one of the things that the teachings say is you can do it. It's just not easy to do. But every smallest, that we go in the right direction will get us there. It's just slower than we thought, But it's hard.
It's a subtle change
Yeah.
that happens. And sometimes you can overlook it and think you're not making progress. But over time, you do see some change in a positive way.
Well, and I think too that the fact is we're still suffering, and that's not pleasant. So having to, to face, I can either spend my time trying to get through this, trying to figure out how to correct my incorrect states of mind, or I can give up and just spend all my energy making sure I continue this suffering, for endless time. So it really is a process of, and you do have to change it up. You have to, you need to explore. Maybe the way I'm going about this isn't working. but it doesn't mean the lack of big steps really doesn't indicate you're not making progress. It just means that it's not going at the pace, that would be nice to go at. It would be nice. It's not linear. We have to recognize there are obstacles beyond just our delusions, which are our past delusions, right? All over the place. So, this is the thing. So the purpose of meditation is becoming aware of just what you're up against. And every time, try to apply the antidote. Every time the grasping arises, I'm grasping onto something that does not exist. Every time I get impatient, it's an incorrect state of mind. It's exaggerating something. It's all about me. It's all about self-cherishing, So, don't fall for it. Oops, I fell for it. Okay. Keep trying. I'm fortunate in that I started in such a lousy place. It's really quite obvious how much I've changed, So now the change isn't so dramatic as it was in the beginning. So, yeah.
How do you perfect the right blend of?
You started wrong already. So what is it that you're trying to perfect? Become a Buddha. You'll perfect.
The right blend or combination of time spent listening, studying, practicing, and meditating.
Well, when you're a beginner, you need to listen and study a lot. A lot. Because you have nothing to meditate on if you haven't studied. That's the deal. You can cultivate your concentration all along. That's very, very helpful. Learning how to settle the mind down is very helpful. You don't need a whole lot of study for that. You need some instruction. You need to know what to do if you have certain obstacles that keep arising. But, that's pretty straightforward. Again, you have to overcome your own habits, like, not this morning, you like, for one thing, you turn off the snooze alarm on your alarm so that it's not going to ring again. You bust it up now. So, but it really is this, you want to develop quite a bit of familiarity with the teachings, because that's what gives you something to meditate on. And you start with it all, you do a little bit, but the most important piece of the beginning is study. Yep.
There's no easy way out.
I was taking tests again at the age of 50. I had to take an exam on 5 years worth of study all at once. I thought, oh, are you kidding? I just couldn't believe it.
Sandra, on your path, did you notice the changes, the progress that you were making, or was it other people that were quick to recognize?
Oh, no one was quick to recognize it, because people don't. We do this. How judgmental are you? Do you really notice when people change around you? It takes a while for people to notice around you. But I think that, certain things are obvious. Like if you're like me and you were angry, big mouth, some things get quieter. It's pretty obvious. So, but I would say it takes, I do notice. But it's it's just sort of like one day you do something, you realize, man, I would have never reacted this way years ago. Just no way. So,
I think this is where the 3 jewels are really important, because there's a role for teachers, there's a role for teaching, there's a role for songwriters. So as I've become more active in but they reinforce me, point out things to me that I don't see. So, go to the teacher with my questions, right? You know, not get some questions are not going to be answered by someone, or the teacher needs to solve
Right.
it, because it requires that personal relationship with the
Yeah.
teacher. So using all three of those important.
And I do think that's really a key factor. I mean, the Buddha said that. The Buddha, said, come forth from your householder life and join us, join this communities because you need like-minded people around you. And so since most of us don't have a like-minded partner, it's very important to rely on each other. That's one of the reasons it's so important to show up to class is not so much for, because, I just can make your mind change. But there's this group support of interest in looking at this point of view. And that is incredibly helpful. I mean, that's why I think it's so important. It's like when I was at the nuns community, we had to show up to everything. It's just a rule. Thank goodness, because I know I would have skipped many things if it wasn't just a rule. And also, if I didn't see everybody going, it's sort of like those days where you feel like, oh, my headache hurts too bad for me to go. And then you're seeing all these people, 20 years older than you, and you're going, you just don't go, So, but also, like you said, people, like Ralph was saying, people see these shifts, they see how you interact, and that's helpful. And also, they encourage you in the ways that you're trying to be encouraged. Like when you go, I'm really an impatient person, and your friends just go, oh, no, not really. That doesn't help. You want people who also support the changes you're trying to make. Every time I go to that kind of movie, I get hooked, So I'm not going to that movie. Whatever. And they go, oh, you worry too much. You overthink it. Blah, blah, blah. So you don't get a lot of support. And so you need to recognize that and try to find Dharma friends. And the only way you can find that is showing up to places like this, because there are not a lot of us out there. So, it's really important to try to develop community. So it's like, if you come for your weekly Sunday Dharma booster shot, which is what I used to call it, go. You're not just going for yourself, because somebody else might need your face there.
That's a nice way to think of it.
Oh, it's really true. You don't know who is coming for the first time and really needs your particular way of connecting. Or just even, I remember somebody coming up to me one time and said, oh, every time we meditate at the center, I wasn't the teacher, I was just a nun sitting up there. Because unfortunately you sit up front, and so everybody sees you, so you can't really misbehave too badly. At least you can't misbehave and be anonymous about it. But she said, do you know that every time when when we start to do a meditation, you start to smile? And I'm going, no, I really could have guessed that. So, but more importantly was it helped her. It just, for some reason, it was helpful for her, Yeah. So I had a lovely chat today with a woman at the bank who was talking about, I asked her how she's doing. She says, I'm great. And then for some whatever reason, she just started talking about it and said, I have a small child who, sits there by the window waiting for me to come home, and it's getting close to the time. She goes, and I finally realized I'm not bringing work home with me. I'm gonna leave it at work, and I'm gonna be in a good mood and go inside and play with my son. And I thought, this is wisdom. So, and it's orienting yourself towards others. Like interdependence, interconnectedness. And so thinking about your fortunate conditions can help with that because it can generate gratitude. So that you remember, my life's not so bad. This is pretty good. I have like the greatest job in the world. Does that mean every day I go, boy, I have a great job? No. I have a samsaric suffering mind. I have to work at it too. I have to remind myself, like, is there anything, when I'm reading Dharma books, and I'm sitting, like, you should see the number of books I have open for the Tuesday night class right now. I have I think there's 17 sitting up there. And they're all different pages, so I'm reading all these things and I'm going, this is pretty great. So, we have to remind ourselves of our good fortune so that we can buoy ourselves over the fact that change is slow. It's not like there's a magic pill.
That's how society.
Yeah.
We need that instant gratification.
It's how we do our healthcare system. We'll cut it out. We'll, all that kind of thing. We have a very, and it makes sense. It's understandable. I am very grateful aspirin was discovered. I had a lot of headaches as a kid. And I'm really grateful that I happened to also, so I have the karma of having all these headaches, but I also have the karma of having aspirin. I'm really, really grateful. And that changed. I can't take aspirin now. I haven't been able to take aspirin since my 20s, So, conditions change. So you just don't know. So I'm just,
I have a saying that I say and remind myself that too shall pass. And that sort of takes you over the hump of having a slump.
That's exactly right. It's remembering impermanence. So these moments of understanding that we have when we're starting out and we're studying, or we might not be meditating, we may be just reading a sentence in a book and we kind of go, oh, that's so true, These are moments of correct assumptions. But that's where we need to go because we start with wrong view. And what our whole purpose of study and reflection and analyzing, all of that is to turn that correct assumption to conviction. And not just, I believe it, but where you are supporting it with valid reasoning, with valid experiences, all of that kind of thing. This is the other thing that the teachings say, because when we're talking about our good circumstances, the fact that it's not linear, our progress is not linear, is that we have obstacles that arise due to our past actions. So certain things might be very difficult for us to overcome. And then other things might be pretty easy. It's in that they don't seem to make sense why this would be easy. And they say it's because of, our past actions. So we have different imprints in our minds and different obstacles ripening. And when they finally do shift, they say it's due to the blessings of your teacher, the blessings of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the ultimate Buddha. So, what is it? What do you think this can possibly mean? Because I think this is difficult.
Basically,
This is when you have realizations or understandings or things, when you do have an understanding.
Very hopeful.
Maybe, I guess, certain things are, maybe it's easier for you to understand the importance of patience because you've been practicing that longer. But at the same time, maybe something like generosity might be a little hard for you because you've been practicing greed
For just as long time. Yes, and so so when we have these experiences of reading something about a tea or, and we kind of go, oh, that resonates with me, that kind of experience, we seem to understand it a little bit. The teachings will say, well, that's the blessings of your teacher, or the blessings of the triple gem, the refuge, the three jewels, all of that. What that is helping us or trying to help us understand is this process of meeting the teachings, learning the teachings, putting them into practice, and seeing the results of it. So we don't not doing it just in this life. So we have, like, say you read something, and the first time you read it, you get it. That's just due to the fact you met the teaching sometime before, and you've already done some of the work. And so that's due to the kindness of your teachers. The idea is to remind yourself that you are not doing, it's not something, that we just figure out. If we've been here since beginningless time, stuck in some sorrow, we haven't figured out much. We really do need to, because of ignorance, because the way things appear to us. We really do think things, we really go from a very quick, like we totally intellectually get dependent arising. But man, as soon as that object is labeled by our mind, we think that's it. It's here. It's permanent. I can rely on it. It's dependable. This is what we do with people. This is what we do with things. And it's not true. But we act from that place. So if you've always taken aspirin for your headaches, it's always going to work. You're not going to have a 3-day nosebleed. So, but it's simply not true. Things are changing all the time. So, but due to this misunderstanding of how things exist and grasping after it, saying, oh, it is permanent. This relationship's the one. My kid finally has figured it out. We keep seeking that. I kind of think, okay, hey, one day we'll figure life out. We might all be old enough to know that didn't work out. Yes. Yes, it's not a forever thing. Okay. So to make those things that we do find resonate with us, to make our understanding, to make those more firm, to really can develop the faith of conviction, we need to look at what the conditions are. Like, so are we exposing ourselves to the teachings? Are we reading, useful text? We want to support those conditions. Like if we discover, if we really are more careful about when we have important conversations with people by making sure we got enough sleep, that we've eaten properly. Like I have to really watch. I can't eat sweets before something where I need to be focused because I always crash. So I have to be aware of that. I have to, make the effort not to do that. We want to do everything, and we notice those conversations go better, and we want to notice that and do it again. If there's certain, I think it's very important to read the traditional text. I understand why it's important, since I was forced to read that in the nuns community, but it's also really nice to read Western authors on it, so that it's in our jargon, our language, our culture. That's really helpful. The ideal is when you find people who have both, like Yeshi Sopa, who was a teacher in Wisconsin. He was like a professor of religious studies at the University of Wisconsin in Madison for like 35 years, 40 years or something. So he taught in English. But he was Tibetan. So, he also had his Geshe degree. and the things. So he's written their book. He's passed away now, but their books that he wrote. So he has both the the English, so they're not being translated. It's his words and his experience of college students and all that, as well as the traditional text. So that's really helpful. And then you have people like for me, I couldn't survive without pen and children. In the early years and stuff. And so it's, but you want to check up to make sure, are they legitimate? So you don't get pulled away by some, this is my idea. Like you'll find a lot of these teachers will often say, one of the reasons why they quote text, in the tradition, they quote a lot of sutras and other Indian masters like Nagarjuna and Aryadeva is because they want to show that they're not making this up as they go along, that they're really trying to hand down the teachings as they came from the Buddha, so that we're, it's not something new or trendy. It's something that's been practiced for quite a long time. So, and then when we are meditating and we have those moments of, of understanding, we don't want to keep analyzing. We really want to get familiar with that experience. We don't rush through. It's okay if you don't cover all the material in a meditation that you plan to. That's okay. Yes.
As Mahayana practitioners, should we avoid or should we pay attention to Theravada teachers?
Well, it's tricky because what you just have to keep in mind, I find if you're really a beginner and you read texts from different traditions, you can get confused because the views aren't the same. So it's okay to, because I've read a lot of forest monk tradition, Ajahn Chah and stuff. I've read a lot of that. It's just so wonderful for the heart. So, but you have to be aware that the path they teach is not the same. And, it's not like wildly different. And the Buddha taught the path they teach. But also their view on enlightenment and the Bodhisattva's path are different. So you can't really mix them together and have a cohesive path, So you just want to be careful of that because we have the good fortune of having access to all sorts of things. We just need to be mindful that they're not in the same tradition. Like they rely on the Pali canon instead of the Sanskrit canon. You're going to get different views. So when you're reading something about, the final view or deathless or whatever, the Theravada traditions, it's not going to be the same. And that can be confusing. So you want to be careful with your mind. You want to take care of your mind so that, the Buddha taught these paths. They're in legitimate lineages from the Buddha. The Buddha taught paths according to the dispositions of the students that he was teaching. So, so they're different. Everybody has. I'm not at all surprised I've ended up in this tradition, and it was, seemed random sort of, because of its use of like logic and test and all this kind of stuff. Since I argue with everything, I might as well be in this tradition. So, this method really helps me not lie to myself. My rationalizations don't really work anymore. So, and it's partly because of this very methodical way of approaching the teachings. So that's variable, of course. So when you read a text, and you read something, you go, I don't know about that. You really want to pay attention to that. You want to explore that. Kind of go, okay, this seems to completely contradict this other thing. Is that something you want to explore? That's when you bring the question in, and kind of go, well, it says here this, and it says here this. How does that go together? because you may not be able to figure out that information all by yourself. Because it depends on context. I think I've gotten a little off track, but that's all right. So, like, if you be determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I shall hold them most dear at all times. So, you might read something like that, and you might think things like, really? More precious than a wish? Can you tell this is my words?
I just want to go back to that last lecture, because it's something I don't see all that often, and that is to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings, as opposed to what's up with that?
Because we need to see them as wish-fulfilling jewels. We need to understand our enlightenment depends on sentient beings, on suffering sentient beings. Because we have a tendency to go, if I could just get away from all the people, I'd act well. You're kind of missing the point there. But we do that, don't we? We just kind of go, yeah. But we need to see that those, your best friends, are the people you find so difficult. That's exactly the kinds of mind you're trying to overcome. So, so this is what you want to do. You want to read something like that and argue with it. So this is my version of arguing. How can it possibly be true that they're more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel? Most are, at best, not annoying. This is my mind. There you go. How about all the beings stealing, killing, cheating, the self-centered, greedy CEOs making millions? Okay, you can tell what day that was. All the wars. Seems to me that all the suffering from mere aggravation and stress to cruelty are caused by sentient beings. On the other hand, everything I own, everything I eat, everything I want exists because of sentient beings.
That's the interdependence.
And it's not provided easily. This is the kindness of all sentient beings. If you have days where you hate your job, just think about all the people out there who are providing everything that you eat, drink, wear, drive, live in, all your roads, all your stop signs, all the things that keep you safe, all that stuff. There are countless beings out there doing their job, and you're benefiting. I mean, I remember the Tibetans when they first went to India, when the Indian country was really lovely and let them, they were refugees, and so they built roads. That was their, that's what the Indians found them work to do, so that they could have an income. It's like, this is that gratitude of really recognizing we would have nothing to eat if people hadn't saved seeds, or figured out crops, anything. And this gets back to this idea of the blessings of our teachers, that everything we know, we learn from somebody. It's not like we just by osmosis, and that's incredibly kind. All of our good qualities come from people needing something from us. All our kindness, our generosity, our patience is because someone's suffering and we're helping. So we really want to look at these things. As opposed to that knee-jerk reaction that goes, oh, yeah, I get it, but, really, We really want to investigate why do they keep making this big deal about the kindness of sentient beings? They keep repeating it. They want to, if I have to hear one more lecture on, the kindness of sentient beings, we've all been there. One thing for those of you who have been around a while and who have heard a lot of these teachings again and again, what helped me was, because, all those classes I had to go to. So, and being a nun, I would sit there and I finally went, okay, are you going to get up and leave? You're free to do that. Nobody's, and I'd go, not on your life. Am I going, this is the guy. And so I said, okay, well, you can either relax or continue to suffer. Like choose. So what I started to do is treat it like a meditation. I just listened like it's a guided meditation. It really helped a lot. Really a lot. Because then you discover, okay, that's right, I think I know this. Yes, once again. Nope. Still not doing that. So these are ways in which to just, encourage yourself.
I think that's the suppleness that it then begins to seep into you.
Right.
Begin to feel it.
And that's the whole purpose of the teaching, of listening, of analytical meditation, going through it again and again and again, is we want it to be us. We want it to become part of our habits, to think this way, to look at things this way.
Repetition is really important for that.
So that's why meditation is, the word for meditation is to become familiar with. That's how it's translated, is to become familiar. Gompa is to become familiar with. This is a place to become familiar.
It's only through repetition that it sinks in and becomes part of the fabric of your memory.
And what we have to recognize is repetition's not enough. Like if you say you would say the refuge prayer. I go for refuge on the line, If once you know it and you've said it for 20-something years, it doesn't mean you're listening at all. So it's, you have to every now and then catch yourself and go, am I listening?
For me, the goal is to have it arise spontaneously at the moment when I need it.
Yes. Like my example. I got hit by a car in a parking lot and was knocked unconscious. I woke up in the hospital a couple hours later, 3 hours later, and I was saying the refuge prayer. And I'd only been practicing like a year. I wasn't a nun. So it's really amazing. We worry about whether or not any of this is going in. And let me tell you, I was not like this person who prayed. This is so not my thing. So, but it really impressed on me how I really had, from the depths of my heart, gone for refuge. So much so that when I was in trouble, when my body was in trouble, and because my mind's present with my body, that's where my mind went to. It really, I also, this is so me, I'm so embarrassed, but there I am, and that's going on in my mind, and I'm yelling at the doctor for hurting me at the same time. That's what was happening. Because that's what woke me, because he was stitching up my ear. And I went, okay, she's conscious again. All right. So, but I was saying there was no question that that's what was going in my mind. So maybe for 4 hours, I was knocked out, or 3 hours, whatever it was. Anyway, so yes, that's the other real bonus of familiarity. And that's why, like on Sundays when I was talking about these verses, or sentences or quotes, it's really helpful if you see something that's meaningful to you. Like this verse, they all, more, Determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings, we're more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel. I shall hold them dear at all times. So, or most dear at all times. So this is, so that's when, like when you're standing there in line, you just want to hit someone. Please, hurry up, It's really helpful. Because then it just sort of like, you can't hide from yourself anymore. Anyway. There I go, struggling on the path. So we want reasons and examples that make the meditation convincing to us, that are meaningful to us. So pulling things out of real life, going, oh yes, I remember when I was impatient with this person, how the shattered look on their face. So you want to have really personal reasons for why you want to change this habit. Or say, you're not particularly good at expressing gratitude or appreciation of someone, and then they die on you before you get a chance. You want to remember that. Oh, that's right. We run out of time. So it's just we want to create a shift. So it's not just nice words that we agree with, but that it's something that moves our heart, so we want to change. And that's what transforming the mind is. It's just, shifting from the normal way that we've been, or the habitual way we've been practicing, and then going, that hasn't been working for me, and shifting it in a new direction, making that a new habit. It's not that we don't, it's not like habits have to be thrown out the window, it's just unskillful habits have to be thrown out the window. And we don't want to forget it. We want it to arise in our mind, so it's at our, so it's there when we need it. And so that's why study is so important at the beginning, because you need to become very, very familiar. So it's really helpful. Isn't that nice? Next session. Okay. So I mentioned how I really think it's helpful to meditate every day. Even if it's just sitting quietly during 5 minutes of your lunch break, to make the effort to, set up an intention and follow through. And then I think it's really important to read Dharma every day. And I find it's really helpful to have two types of Dharma books that you're reading. One, which is kind of the academic version, oh yeah, I have to learn. Wish fulfilling golden sun. Liberation the palm in your hand. The Lamrim Chinmo, all of these kinds of texts, practicing the path. And then have one that inspires you, like the Book of Joy, The Art of Happiness, or, the places that scare you. What a great topic. Being peace. I mean, this is why, Ajahn Chah is, one of the go-to people. We need also things that just inspire us, that touch our heart, and just remind us, oh yeah, that's right. There's a reason why I'm trying to do this. I don't want to just plow through my life and forget these things that are important to me. So that can be helpful. And this curriculum, this Discovering Buddhism series, is to expose you to all the different recommended parts of the path to enlightenment, so that you'll have meditations on precious human rebirth, meditations on remembering death and impermanence, meditations on how to develop compassion, how to have equanimity towards everybody, how to develop the mind of love, the mind of compassion, how to develop the highest intention, this wish to become enlightened for the benefit of others. How to keep, be aware of our self-cherishing. Because self-cherishing by itself is not a negative state of mind. Okay? We have to have self-care. There's nothing wrong with caring that we want to be happy and not want to suffer. What the problem is when we get attached to this, we have a wrong idea of what the self is. That's where we go really wrong. So we'll explore what ignorance is and how you think about that. And karma. How do our habits affect our future? In what ways? How do you prevent it from ripening? If you've done some negative things, how can you, transform your mind so you don't do it again? And how do you prevent those old seeds from ripening? Things like that. So it's a whole package deal of, and then you repeat. you look the same material type of stuff, the same teachings at a deeper level and deeper level, and you go back and you read your books of inspiration, you understand them differently. They have a different meaning for you. Yeah.
Could you, in your email tomorrow, whenever you send it, could you give us your book suggestions that you were just talking about? Because I forgot them.
If I forget, just email me. You forgot. Because I will. Yeah. So it's this, and we need to find out what the rest of the beginner books too. The book, I have the beginner book, the intermediate. Yeah.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, that should be out.
Maybe I can do that. I have that, but I didn't.
Yeah, these probably might not, because these are not, the ones I just mentioned are not beginner books. They are part of the assigned reading for the rest of the modules. Liberation of the Palm of My Hand is the reference book used in this. So there's sections of it that you read. So I think this one didn't have any, and mine didn't have any, but that's it. The rest of them will. But there's some in the library. I have 2 copies. But they're not enough in the library. They also are sold, there's a Kindle version or whatever. So, and they are really like instruction manuals for monastics. So you have to keep that, you don't have to panic when you read going, oh my God, I can't possibly do this. No, of course, it's not your job. So don't worry. But they're great books, especially when you start talking about karma. It explains it in great detail. Stuff like that. Okay. Now, I'm really hoping in next life that my mind's not in my computer. There are a whole lot of other meditations, and also, but I will send you I'm going to try to remember which ones I've sent you and which ones I haven't, and I'll send those as well. So the idea of these meditations that are sent to you, they're usually too long to do in a usual beginner, meditation session. So you break them up, and also you can read them. It can be your Dharma reading at night. To just kind of get familiar with it, and if there are questions about it, why is it talking about this? I'm not following. Whatever. So that can be helpful. Any questions? How about the distractions? What obstacles are you facing? Oh, good, we're all done. We've succeeded.
I find most of my distractions that when I'm trying to meditate, to be thoughts about the meditation.
Yeah.
I'm not in the past, I'm not in the future, I'm not in the laundry list. I'm like, is this breathing right, or should I focus? Should I try stomach breathing this time, or focus on the notes? Should I, just right there, like around that stuff.
Yeah, that's just another kind of distraction. We think, so what you can do is start labeling them, judging, so that you don't listen. So they just, they might arise, they might keep arising, but that it falls more and more into the background, So you're really, I did a whole 2-week silent meditation type deal, and every day at dusk there would be 5 mosquitoes there'd be one on each ear and one on each nostril, and one would just sort of flew around. And so I'm sitting there going, it was just, that time of day when the mosquitoes come out in Australia, that, there's no air conditioning, and no screen, whatever. So I finally realized, you have to find a way, like, okay, I've decided to do this. How do I do this with these? And I finally realized, oh, that's what my mind sounds like. My ex-husband, I'm sure, feels like all my conversations sounded like that too. and didn't end at all, it's just like, but it allowed me to recognize it can fall to the background. It can just fall to the background.
That was hard.
It was so, if it hadn't been funny, it would have been really hard. It was hard. And it was really like, and those thoughts you have, like, it's not fair. What does that mean? Okay. So, but anyway, the point is you have to so one of the things you can do is you can label your thoughts. And it could be as simple as thinking, to interrupt the story, so you can remind yourself you're not going to focus on that, because that doesn't help. It's not about, you want to make those decisions about what am I going to focus on in advance. And by the way, as far as the sensation of the breath, you want to use the same technique every time. So just pick one. But whatever one feels more natural to you, just go with, so you don't have this conversation going on. You just choose. And so when the thoughts arise, then you just interrupt it, thinking, particularly those judging thoughts. This isn't right. This isn't, you just judging, whatever. Just note it so you can let it go.
So one just realized a very simple thing. This isn't about not having thoughts. This is about
Right.
managing thoughts.
That's right. It has nothing to do with stopping thinking. That's what the mind does. That's its job. It's really about choosing what you listen to, what you follow, what you focus on. That's the training. It's being, developing your mind that goes, I'm deciding. Okay. All right. So let's rejoice in our efforts. And I rejoice in all the efforts that you're doing at home, trying to keep up this habit. So again, just kind of bring your mind inward. Check in with your body, see how it's doing. You might want to check in with your mind. Does it feel, is it calm? Is it agitated? Curious? Just kind of check in. Is it tired? remember the motivation, the intention you set at the beginning. Sort of reaffirming that wish that it benefits yourself as well as ripples out to benefit others. Even just rejoicing in that wish, because that's a very positive thought. And then just dedicate whatever positive seeds you've created by your positive efforts this evening. But they go into the great ocean of merit for the great enlightenment and not exhaust until they know suffering sentient beings at all. And take a moment to set an intention for your next activity. You ready? Stretch. Thank you very much for your participation, showing up, all your good efforts. So,
Thank you, Beverly.
thank you.
And just a reminder about Saturday's class on guilt and regret, understanding the difference between the two. Please join us for that on Saturday, 1 to 5 p.m. here.
So if you have lots of guilt, please join us. We're going to transform it into regret.
And if anyone new this week and isn't on Venerable Tenrin's email list, let me know and we'll get you the readings. Maybe Dave can. I think that's it, right? Everyone has them. Okay, thank you. Oh, and are you on the list?
Yeah.
There you